Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go to Phoenix Raceway for both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, and we start things off right here in the Xfinity Series action where we had Erik Jones back in the car for this episode here today at the LS Tractor 200 at Phoenix Raceway. Daniel Hemrick failed pre-race inspection, as well as Matt Mills failed technical inspection, so both Hemrick and Mills will start at the back of the field. But there you see one of the JGR drivers of Riley Herbst on the pole now, as he actually was able to pick a win up for the first time in his Xfinity Series career late last season, and now here he is starting off this season pretty strong with a second place as well in the last episode, I believe it was, at Auto Club. But Erik Jones back in the car here in the number 54 Brandt Toyota. It's supposed to be the Rheem Toyota, but the game glitched and gave us Brandt instead. But either way, Erik Jones started in a pretty decent qualifying position now, as obviously last time we came to this track as myself as a driver in Phoenix, we were able to win the championship here in the Xfinity Series in very spectacular fashion now. As if you guys remember, just really not even a week ago, I think it was, when we won that Xfinity Series championship. Now as Erik would dive down into turns 1 and make that pass on the 08, and Erik just kind of slowly but surely started moving his way forwards up towards that top 10 position now, as he was battling with the 21 of Anthony Alfredo as well as the 44 of Tommy Joe Martins. Alfredo got past Erik Jones, unfortunately, and then a little bit later on there was actually a bit of an incident there with the 38 car, who would go spinning out of turns 4 after contact with Jones, bringing out a caution which would force a 2-lap dash here at the end of this race in Phoenix now, as Erik got back underway just behind the 11 of Justin Haley as he went down into turns 1. It was Chase Briscoe leading at this point with 2 laps to go, and it was now Noah Gragson battling for second with Riley Herbst for that third position now, as Erik gets up the inside of the 11 of Haley, diving down into turns 3 wide with Justin Haley as well as Anthony Alfredo as he slides up out of turns 4, not quite able to get any positions there as they start the final lap. Jones cuts all the way down here on the track on the dog leg, as he's going to be able to get ahead of Haley as he dives down into turns 1 on this final lap. They're still side by side though with Haley, as he had a much better entrance to the corner, but now on the exit Jones is going to fight back side by side here as he would clear Justin Haley down towards turns 3 on this final lap. As he gets into the back of Alfredo, gives him the bumper. Sideways goes Alfredo, but he saves it, and wide goes Erik Jones, leaving the door open for the 11 to get him at the line, as Erik Jones comes through to finish in P11 after kind of throwing away the top 10 there after trying to move Alfredo out of the way. And Chase Briscoe would be your winner here in Phoenix. But now it was time to get going for the Cup Series here in Phoenix, and my concerns weren't my concerns were pretty high coming into this race here in Phoenix, because this is a track I struggled at a lot. I had to mess with the wedge and track bar quite a bit here coming into this race, just to hope that I would stand a chance. Now as we would get underway for qualifying, you see this time we've run a different paint scheme so far every race this season, and we're going to continue that in today's episode where we have the Craftsman paint scheme on the car. We're not going to run this scheme many times this season. You'll probably see it maybe at like Darlington, and I'm not really sure where else now, but probably only 2 or 3 races this season this paint scheme will be on the car. But we come through in our qualifying efforts out of turns 4, crossing the line with a 26.241, over a 10th off of our goal, but we go a very solid P14 here in Phoenix Raceway. So I was pretty content with that qualifying effort, to say the least. As you see the rest of it, Jimmy Johnson down there in the mid-20s. Jimmy Johnson in his final season has had a very rough start so far to the season now, as William Byron in the mid-teens as well as us. But on the pole, there you see Kenseth up in 4th, but on the pole we got Brad Keselowski with Denny Hamlin joining him on the front row now, as we are ready to get going here. As you see the city of Phoenix here on your screen. Once again, a big thanks to Microsoft Flight Simulator for giving me a hand with this now, making these videos so much cooler now, as you see the just overlook of Phoenix Raceway. That was actually the old version of Phoenix Raceway. They do not have the new version of that in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But Daniel Suarez, he failed pre-race inspection, so he'll be starting at the back there, as you see your pole winner of Brad Keselowski. And look out for Chase Elliott. He's apparently looking pretty hot coming into this race, so he might have a lot of speed and be in contention to win this thing here. Now we are ready to get going though at Phoenix Raceway from P14 as the green flag is out and we are underway right off the bat. I noticed behind me Kurt Busch, another driver like Jimmy Johnson in his final season who's had a very rough start to the season. Kurt Busch is currently last in the points coming into this episode. After 3 races, you would never expect a name like Kurt Busch in Chip Ganassi Racing Camaro to be last in the points. But here we are with Kurt Busch starting this race last in the points, and well, he starts this opening lap by passing myself through turns 3 and out of turns 4. And I was taking a little bit of experience from the past NASCAR Heat 4 game into this race where I know I can probably run a lane up here in turns 1 and 2 and actually get along the track or around the corner better than the very bottom. So I was going to keep that in mind in this race. Now as we come through out of turns 2, we're going to make it 3 wide already with William Byron and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as we dive down towards turns 3, and Byron gets clear now as we're side by side with Stenhouse, and I'm able to go around the outside of Bowman in the process of that, and we are now P14 at the start of lap 3, so we've gained absolutely nothing so far in these first few laps. Now as we dive down into turns 1, Keselowski's still leading at this point, but I would jump down to that bottom lane through turns 3 and turns 4 at the end of lap 3, and we would make a pass on William Byron, get up the inside here of the 17 of Chris Buescher, and now as we dive down into turns 1, we're going to be able to carry that momentum into the entrance of the corner and pass Buescher for that 12th position. But that was as far as I got in these first few laps, because then you see Kurt Busch, he was making a pass on Matt DiBenedetto, pushing DiBenedetto down into P11. Now as we came through on lap 7 of 18 in this first stage, I get to the outside of Matt DiBenedetto on the back straightaway here as we dive down into turns 3, but we would continue this side-by-side battle right up till the next lap. On lap 8 out of turns 2, we would finally though clear DiBenedetto and take over P11, and then now try to set our sights on Kurt Busch for that final stage position here to get a stage point. Now as we came through on lap 12 of 18 in stage 1, I was slowly but surely starting to reel these guys in. We come through a few laps later on lap 14, there you see Kurt Busch and Chase Elliott battling for 9th. I thought Elliott was going to be running a lot better based off the pre-race information, but clearly not the case. Now as we had gotten to the back of Kurt Busch here with 3 laps to go in stage 1, we now come through to the start of the final lap of stage 1. Surprisingly, I couldn't quite get past Kurt Busch now. As we dive down into turns 1, I decided to take a bit of a wide approach and get a bit of an arc on it possibly, but unfortunately out of turns 2, instead of arcing it, I just push up the track and nearly pancake the wall. And as we go down the back straightaway, diving down into turns 3 for the final time here in stage 1, it looks like Kurt Busch is going to hang on to that final stage point. As we exit turns 4, we put the pressure on, but not enough. We come through to cross the line here in P10 for this first stage here in Phoenix Raceway. Sorry, P11 here in Phoenix Raceway for that first stage. And the stage winner was Brad Keselowski. Matt Kenseth, though, up there in the mix in P3. He's had a very solid start to the season. Obviously, we had a run-in with him at Auto Club at the end of that second stage in the last episode. Or, sorry, no, that was Las Vegas 2 episodes ago when we had that run-in with him. Everything's flying by so fast. But he's definitely looking strong, and I think we could very well see Matt Kenseth in the playoffs in our career mode this season. Now, you did see there, I made some adjustments to the car. I wasn't very content with how it was handling towards the end of stage 1. Now, as we're going to be lining up one spot better than we ended stage 1 in. We're now P10 for the start of stage 2. And one thing that caught me way off is you look in the top left. We got a lot more laps here in stage 2. It's 25 laps in the second stage. I'm not sure why it's so long compared to stage 1, but definitely a lot more length to it. And that was definitely a concern of mine, because I know at this track I burn my right rear tire very quickly compared to the AI, so that was definitely a concern of mine. Now as I was starting to wonder, am I going to be able to make it to the end of stage 2 and push all the way like the AI are without completely destroying my right rear tire? So that was definitely on my mind here at the start of the second stage as we did drift down to P11. David Reagan getting up and flexing his muscles a little bit now as he was up inside the top 10. Unfortunately, being on the outside dropped me down to P13 behind Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano as well, but I would get right back on the outside and fight Logano down into turns 1 here on lap 3, and sure enough, through the center of the corner, we're going to build up that momentum and try to get past Logano, but I get so tight on the exit of turns 2, I have to get out of the throttle to make sure I don't hit the wall, and we end up giving up a position to Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch would work his way past Bubba Wallace, who had now lost a few positions to Joey Logano, as well to Denny Hamlin, and now we came through now on lap 9 of 25, and we were starting to run these guys down again, but then Clint Boyer had actually started to put the pressure on me here as we closed in on the halfway point of the second stage, and I did not feel like putting up much of a fight to Boyer because he ran me down so quick. I knew I didn't have a lot for him, so out of turns 4, I just let him have the position there as we drop now down to P15. Not a good second stage at all for us so far now, but we would try to actually get back to Clint Boyer. We put the pressure back on him down into turns 1. Keselowski at this point, he had driven away from the field. No one had anything right now in stage 2 for Brad Keselowski. As you can see, third place of Kyle Busch is just barely entering turns 3 now, so we're not even that far behind in reality now as we dive down into the corner behind Kurt Busch. Bubba Wallace doing a solid job up here in P12, considering that car is not the fastest in the grid now as we come through crossing the line there. 12 laps to go here in stage 2, still side by side with Clint Bowyer, but behind us we have a crash. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. goes spinning through the tri-oval, and that's going to bring out a caution there as he ends up in the outside wall here in Phoenix and nearly gets hit by another car going through. And everybody was coming to the pit lane, as well as myself, with 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. I loosened up the car a bit, and we gained 3 positions on the pit lane, which is a big advantage to myself now, as we're going to be lining up behind Ryan Blaney here in P12. Blaney got that win a few races ago in the second race of the season in Las Vegas. Now as we're back underway, we're going to give a push to Ryan Blaney and make it 3 wide as we push him to the outside of Denny Hamlin and Ryan Newman as we dive down into turns 1, and sideways goes to 12. He hits the outside wall, but he saves it behind us, but a lot of contact to Blaney to that outside wall now, as obviously that was because of the contact with my bumper, and I certainly felt bad about that. Obviously it's not my fault that the AI kind of react that way, but like I said, I definitely felt bad about that contact, and unfortunately it got the short end for Ryan Blaney now, as he's probably not going to be the very happiest person with me, as we've made some enemies probably to start off this season. We had that run in with Kenseth. Now Ryan Blaney, we've flipped Corey LaJoie over in the last episode of Auto Club, and then we also caused Austin Dillon to crash. So far in our rookie season, definitely not making very much friends, but we came through though, rallying our way back up to P11 here now with just 3 to go. In stage 2, we had run down Ryan Newman, looking for that 10th position here like we were at the end of stage 1 when we were trying to pass Kurt Busch for that final stage spot, but Clint Bowyer had actually run me down again. Bowyer has a lot more speed than I do, but seems to just kind of get stuck behind us now as we dive down into turns 3, approaching the white flag here in stage 1, nearly getting past Ryan Newman, but a push up out of turn 4, and that's going to allow him to fight back up the inside as we start the final lap in stage 2. Brad Keselowski still out front, driving away from the field. Second place currently belongs to our teammate of Kyle Busch now as we come through turns 1 and 2 on this final lap of stage 2, and Newman has the advantage there as I push wide again on the exit of turns 2, allowing Newman to get cleared, but we dive it into turns 3 for the final time. Newman goes up the inside of Reddick. I try to take it 3 wide out of turns 4, but just don't have enough turn off, and we're going to come through to cross the line for P11 for the second stage. Stage 1 obviously was P11 as well, so close to getting stage points each time, but unfortunately it just didn't quite happen. And so far this season, we only have like 9 stage points after all the stages being completed in these first 4 races, so definitely not the greatest start now, as we would pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, and we will line up in that 11th position, just like we ended that second stage now, as we're going to get ready to go green here behind Ryan Newman in that number 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. Brad Keselowski has dominated this race so far, clearly has the fastest car here in Phoenix. Can he hold on here for the final 29 laps? We're about to find out now, as we're 3 wide already with Hamlin and Reddick as we dive down into turns 1, but I decided to just kind of be a generous teammate here and kind of slide in behind Hamlin to make sure he does not get messed over from this little 3 wide moment now, as you see that we only have 29 laps to go. That's only 4 extra laps than stage 2. That's why I found the stage 2 length to be so weird now, as it just seemed too long now as we come through crossing the line, completing the first and opening lap of the third and final stage right on that left side of Tyler Reddick, nearly making contact with him actually as we went down into turns 1 side by side with him. I must mention that paint scheme on that car, very, very nice now as we come through, heading down this backstretch, still side by side with the RCR rookie now as we dive down into the corner, and you see Keselowski's a little bit under pressure from Matt Kenseth, who's trying to win in his comeback season now as we come through out of turns 2. At this point now on lap 55, I took the car to the outside of my teammate of Denny Hamlin here as we went down towards turns 3, and a little bit of contact there made though with Hamlin on the entrance of turns 3, and now we're going to lose a spot to him, as well as David Reagan would get up my inside, and now I was under attack from him. Hamlin would be able to pass Chase Elliott as I still had Reagan up my inside now with 22 laps to go. We come through now on lap 58 out of turns 2. This time though we would pass David Reagan down the backstretch, then I slice to the inside as soon as I get clear and try to take the momentum to the inside of Chase Elliott and pass him before the kind of run is over, because I felt so much momentum at this point here as we're going to be side by side across the line heading down towards turns 1 now as we're going to try and get clear, and sure enough we almost have him, but then he fights back around the outside, but then we get a great launch on the exit of the corner. I definitely put my foot down earlier than usual, and then I thought I was going to hit hit the wall for a second, but we were able to keep it out of it, and then we would take over P9 from Chase Elliott. So now we were setting our sights once again on this group up ahead between Denny Hamlin and Ryan Newman, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, all 4 JGR cars right here in this little group now as we get to the back of Newman, who gets passed by Denny Hamlin now with less than 20 laps to go at this point as we dive down towards turn 3 up the inside of the Roush Fenway driver. There you see all 4 JGR cars right here together, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th now as we would pass Newman, officially get clear of him on lap 63. Then I get to the back of our teammate Kyle Busch. I slice to the inside of him, and just clearly the car was coming to life at this point here in the race now. This is the best we've done all weekend long at Phoenix Raceway now as we exit turns 4, but Kyle Busch, he's not going to go down without a fight. We know that. Sure enough, I would not actually be able to get clear of him. He would actually be able to fight back on that outside and clear me as we came through to just 14 laps to go here in Phoenix now as we came through turns 3 and out of turns 4, now on lap 65, hitting lap 66, and sure enough, at the end of lap 66, same situation, right on the back of Kyle Busch, but just not close enough to pounce, but then we get a caution with 12 laps to go here in Phoenix Raceway. Everybody coming to the pit lane. I obviously am going to follow through to put half a can of fuel in the car, but I noticed the right rear tire is at 30%, and knowing how quickly my right rear wears at this track, I know for a fact it will not make it to the end. So I put right side tires on the car, and we come into the pit lane in the 8th position. Keselowski trying to not throw this race away, but we actually lose a position, and then Ryan Blaney makes a bold strategy call here. He is going to go all the way to the front of the field here for this restart now as we are underway on lap 69. Nice now as we hit lap 70, but Blaney was behind us at the time of the caution, and he makes a very bold call that puts him out front now. My guess is he took absolutely no tires, and we're going to see if he can steal the win away from his Penske teammate of Keselowski, who would love to lock himself into the playoffs with a win, but Blaney does not care about that fact at all because he is now going to allow Kenseth to potentially move into second and put Keselowski down into P3 now as I'm up the inside of my teammate of Denny Hamlin as we come through, crossing the line, 8 laps to go side by side with Kyle Busch, a little bit of contact with our JGR teammate and 2-time Cup Series champion, and out of turns 4 now on lap 72. He would actually be able to get past me, but I would side draft him so hard that I completely left the door open for Ryan Newman to get up my inside, and now we drop down into P10 here in Phoenix. I'm trying to make sure we can hold on to a top 10 because the only top 10 we've had so far this season was at the Daytona 500 with that P3 finish now, as I would actually try to give Kyle Busch the bump and run now with 5 laps to go here in Phoenix, but it didn't quite work there, but it actually does allow me to get alongside Kyle as we hit 4 laps to go, so maybe it will work out. Blaney still leading. Second place, Kenseth. Keselowski had dropped down to P4 at this point. Then Truex passed Matt Kenseth and moved up into second place now as we came to just 2 laps to go here in Phoenix. Logano now into the mix as well as he runs P11. It's down between myself and our teammate Kyle Busch for the 9th and 10th spot now, as you see 3 cars on the pit lane have DNF'd from this race. Now as we're out of turns to a lap and a half to go, Ryan Blaney made a bold strategy call. We cleared Kyle Busch coming to the white flag, but Ryan Blaney makes a very bold strategy call, and here he is now leading on the final lap, trying to hold off Martin Truex Jr. for his 2nd win of the season in the first 4 races now as we come through out of turn 2, going a little bit wide, but we hang on to it here, and we're in front of Kyle Busch here now as it looks like it's going to be P9 if we can hold on into turn 3. Yes, we do, and Ryan Blaney exits turns 4 for win number 2 on the season. An excellent strategy call now as we come through to cross the line in P9 here in Phoenix. So definitely cannot complain at all, because my true expectations coming into this race, I was like, you know what, we're probably going to finish between 15th and 20th. Here we are coming out of here with the top 10. No stage points, unfortunately. Jimmy Johnson, P20, not a great race for him. Clint Boyer down in 38th. He DNF'd along with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Timmy Hill. The last caution, I believe, was Clint Boyer. Now, as we did gain 1 spot there, and we move up into 10th in the points. Remember, we were like 4th in the points a few episodes ago, and then that one bad race in Auto Club put us all the way down to P11, and now we have to try and claw our way back forwards, or if it goes the opposite, that would suck now, as that would mean we'd be going down to that bottom part of the playoff grid, and we don't want to be in the danger zone even at this point in the season now. As like I said, the schedule shakeups definitely got me thrown off a little bit this season. In the next one, we go to Atlanta, apparently, which actually is a track I thoroughly enjoy. So usually we have a lot of speed there. So maybe we'll be able to pull something off there. I think we even have Homestead Miami coming up very shortly as well. So there you see the playoff grid, though, on the screen. So 11th in the playoffs until Chad Fincham falls out of that top 30. David Reagan currently holds on to the last spot. Eric Almirola currently 3 points out. Now, as obviously the story is kind of on Jimmy Johnson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch. Those 4 drivers, very big names that have had very rough starts to the season. Byron up to 20th. Elliott 23rd, Johnson now up to 25th, Kurt Busch goes up to 31st after being dead last in the points starting this episode. So a good race for Kurt Busch, finally moves him up quite a bit. So as always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one in Atlanta. Have a great day, everybody.